The rain came down in sheets that night, turning the warehouse district into a maze of shadows and flickering streetlights. 3:47 a.m., the hour when the city held its breath. Simi pressed herself against the cold brick wall, her breath coming in sharp gasps. Her clothes clung to her skin, soaked through. She'd been running for 3 hours. Her ex-boyfriend Tunde's voice still echoed in her head. The threats, the rage, the way he'd smashed her phone against the wall when she tried to leave. She'd escaped through a bathroom window, left everything behind. Again, the warehouse loomed ahead, dark and seemingly abandoned. She just needed somewhere to hide until morning, somewhere dry, somewhere safe. She'd been in Seoul for 8 months, and safety felt like a language she'd forgotten how to speak. Now she was here, homeless, alone, soaked to the bone in a city that felt like it was made of edges and ice. She slipped through a gap in the warehouse fence. Inside, the warehouse wasn't abandoned. Han Jae-won stood in the center of the vast space, his black suit immaculate, despite the late hour. At 30, he commanded the port district with absolute authority. 3 men knelt before him, hands bound. Traitors. They'd been selling information to the Yukimura family in exchange for protection that would never come. Jae-won's lieutenant, Kwon, stood to his right, silent, waiting. "You chose poorly," Jae-won said, his voice carrying through the cavernous space. No anger, no passion, just fact. The first man started to plead. Jae-won raised his gun, a simple movement, economical, practiced, and fired. The sound cracked through the air like breaking bone. The second man tried to run. Jae-won turned, aimed, fired again. The third man sobbed. "Please, I have a daughter. You should have thought of her before you betrayed your family." Jae-won's finger tightened on the trigger. That's when Simi stumbled through the side door she'd forced open, desperate to get out of the rain. She froze. 3 things happened simultaneously. Jae-won's gun discharged, the bullet already in motion. Simi's eyes went wide with terror, and time seemed to fracture. The bullet caught her in the left shoulder, spinning her back against the doorframe. She crumpled, a small sound of shock escaping her lips. Blood bloomed across her cream-colored blouse, the only nice thing she still owned. For 3 full seconds, no one moved. Jae-won stared at her. A woman. An African woman. In his warehouse. At 3:47 a.m., covered in rain and now blood. She shouldn't be here. She wasn't part of the equation. She wasn't intelligence, wasn't rival family, wasn't anything he'd accounted for. Sir Kwon started. "Get the doctor." Jae-won's voice came out different, sharper. Something in his chest felt wrong. Now, he crossed the space in 4 strides, dropping to one knee beside her. Her eyes fluttered, brown and deep, and filled with something he didn't immediately recognize. Relief. "You shot me," she whispered in English, then laughed a broken, bitter sound. "You actually shot me. Don't move. Medical help is coming. I was just looking for somewhere dry." Her accent was thick, musical, Nigerian, he registered. "Just somewhere to sleep. Why are you laughing?" Her eyes met his, and he saw it then. The thing that would change everything. She wasn't afraid to die. "Because," she said, blood on her lips, "I was planning to walk into the Han River tonight. I was going to end it. And you did it for me." Another laugh, weaker this time. "Thank you." Something cold settled in Jae-won's stomach. He pressed his hand against her shoulder, trying to slow the bleeding. Her blood was warm. She was real. She'd been about to die anyway, by her own hand, and he'd shot her by mistake. "You're not dying tonight," he said. "Why not?" He didn't have an answer. Simi woke to the smell of antiseptic and something else, expensive fabric, maybe. Silk. Her shoulder throbbed with a deep, bone-level ache. She tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. "Don't." The voice came from her left. Male. Authoritative. She turned her head. The man who shot her sat in a chair by the window, perfectly still. Morning light filtered through sheer curtains, making him look almost unreal. Sharp features, dark eyes that revealed nothing, a face that could have been carved from stone. Where am I? Safe. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting right now. He stood, adjusting his cufflinks, a nervous gesture that seemed at odds with his stillness. The bullet went through clean, no major damage. You'll recover. Simi looked around. The room was beautiful. Too beautiful. Cream walls with subtle gold accents. Art on the walls, real art, not prints. A 4-poster bed with sheets that felt like water against her skin. Floor-to-ceiling windows, showing a garden she couldn't quite see clearly. This is a prison, she said. This is protection. From what? From yourself. He moved closer. You said you were going to the river. You wanted to die. That's none of your business. You became my business the moment you walked through that door. His expression didn't change. You saw something you shouldn't have. That means you stay until I decide what to do with you. Fear should have spiked through her, but Simi felt nothing. Just the same emptiness that had been growing for months. So, what, you're going to kill me anyway? Just slower? I haven't decided. Great. She closed her eyes. Wake me when you do. For the first time, something flickered across his face. Confusion, maybe. Or surprise. You really don't care. I told you! I was going to die anyway! She opened her eyes, met his gaze. You want to finish the job? Go ahead. You'd be doing me a favor. He stared at her for a long moment, then turned and walked to the door. My name is Han Jae-won. You'll be here for a while. Kwan will bring you food. He paused, his hand on the doorframe. What's your name? She almost didn't answer. Then, Simi. Simi. He tested the name. Nigerian? Yoruba. He nodded once, then left, locking the door behind him. Simi stared at the ceiling and tried to remember why she'd fought so hard to survive the gunshot. She couldn't. Days blurred together. Jae-won told himself he was monitoring a security risk. That's why he pulled up the camera feed of her room multiple times a day. Why he watched her sit by the window for hours, staring at nothing. Why he noticed she barely ate. Kwan brought her meals. She picked at them. The doctor checked her wound. She barely spoke. She existed in his house like a ghost. On the 4th day, Jae-won made a decision he didn't fully understand. He researched her. It took his intelligence network 3 hours to piece together Simi Oluwaseun's life. 25 years old. Her father died when she was 19. Malaria took him. Her mother remarried and moved to Abuja with a man who made it clear Simi wasn't welcome. Her teaching job back in Lagos evaporated when the school closed. The recruiter who promised her opportunities in Korea delivered her to a restaurant in Hongdae that paid half the promised wage and made her work 16-hour days. She quit. Tunde Adeyemi seemed kind at first, a fellow Nigerian who understood, until kindness turned to control, and control turned to violence. Recent police report dropped about a domestic disturbance. No family here, no friends listed, no social media activity for 3 months. She was indeed invisible, exactly as she'd said. On the 5th day, he found her sketching. He'd given her paper and pencils. He didn't know why. And when he unlocked her door, that morning, she sat cross-legged on the bed, completely absorbed. Her left arm was still in a sling, but her right hand moved across the page with surprising grace. What are you drawing? He asked. She didn't look up. The garden, from memory. You're an artist. I was a teacher, art, back home. She shaded something carefully. Before everything fell apart, he moved closer, looking over her shoulder. The sketch showed his garden in careful detail. The stone path, the maple tree, the small fountain. But she'd added something. A woman sitting on the bench, face turned to the sky. That's you, he said. That's who I used to be. She set down the pencil. Why am I really here? You could have killed me that night. Cleaned up the mess. No witnesses. But you brought me here, had me patched up, fed me. Why? Jae-won considered the question, considered lying, decided against it. I don't know. That's honest, at least. You said you were going to die. I stopped it. He sat down in the chair across from her bed. I think that makes me responsible for you now. I didn't ask for that. You laughed when I shot you. You thanked me. He leaned forward slightly. I've killed a lot of people, Simi. None of them ever thanked me. She finally looked at him. Really looked. What do you want from me? I want you to want to live. The words surprised them both. Simi's expression softened. Just slightly. Why? Because if you die while you're under my protection, that means I failed. He stood, adjusting his cufflinks again. And I don't fail. That's a terrible reason to keep someone alive. It's the only one I have. He left before she could respond. But that night, when he checked the camera feed, she was eating. Not much, but something. It felt like a victory he didn't deserve. Sleep didn't come easily in Jaewon's world. It was a weakness, so when he found himself walking the halls at 3:47 a.m., the exact time he'd shot her, he told himself it was routine patrol. He found Simi in the garden. She sat on the stone bench in his mother's garden, wearing one of the plain dresses Kwan's wife bought for her. The November air bit with cold, but she didn't seem to notice. She stared at the fountain, watching water cascade over smooth stones. You'll freeze, he said. She didn't startle. I couldn't sleep. Neither could I. Guilty conscience? Something like that. He sat beside her, maintaining careful distance. Do you always wake at this hour? Since you shot me. Yes. She pulled her knees up, wrapping her arms around them. It's like my body remembers. I'm sorry. The apology seemed to surprise her. You don't seem like someone who apologizes. I'm not. He stared at the fountain. But I am sorry. You were just looking for shelter. I was looking for an ending. She rested her chin on her knees. I'd planned it all out. Walk to the Han River. Wait until the pre-dawn hour when nobody's around. Just slip under. Quick. Quiet. Done. Why? Why not? She laughed. That same broken sound from the warehouse. My father's dead. My mother chose her new family over me. I came here thinking I could rebuild. Instead, I got trapped working for criminals who paid me nothing. Fell for a man who turned out to be a monster. Lost everything. Again. She turned to look at him. Tell me, Han Jae-won, what was I supposed to live for? He didn't have an answer, but something in her words struck a chord he'd thought was long dead. I stood on a roof once, he heard himself say. 3 years ago, my brother died. My father blamed me. Said I should have protected him better, that it was my fault for bringing him into the business. He paused. I stood on that roof for 2 hours, just looking down, thinking how easy it would be. Simi watched him carefully. What stopped you? Fear. Not of dying, of failing. If I died, everything my brother sacrificed would mean nothing. So I stayed, built the empire, became the monster my father wanted. He met her eyes. But I understand. The weight, the tiredness, the feeling that disappearing would be easier than fighting. For a long moment, they just sat there, 2 broken people in a frozen garden at 3:47 a.m. I'm not going to let you die, Simi said finally. What? If you're responsible for keeping me alive, then I'm responsible for keeping you alive. She smiled slightly. We're stuck with each other now. Something warm unfurled in Jaewon's chest. Something dangerous. That's the worst deal you could make. Probably. She stood, extending her hand to him. But I'm Nigerian. We're stubborn like that. He took her hand. It was small in his, warm, alive. They walked back to the house together. Neither of them mentioned that he didn't let go until they reached her door. 2 weeks passed. Simi's shoulder healed. Jaewon stopped locking her door. She started joining him for meals, first breakfast, then dinner, then the occasional late-night tea when neither could sleep. He taught her Korean phrases. She taught him Yoruba greetings. She sketched. He watched. His men noticed. Kwan said nothing, but his expression spoke volumes. This wasn't protocol. This wasn't safe. Jae-won didn't care. "Tell me about Lagos," he said one evening. They sat in his study, a room he never shared, while rain drummed against the windows. Simi curled in the leather chair across from his desk, a cup of tea warming her hands. It's loud, chaotic, colorful in ways Korea isn't. Her eyes went distant. The traffic is insane. The heat is suffocating. The power goes out constantly, but there's this energy, this life. Like the city is always shouting, always moving, always fighting to exist. You miss it. I miss who I was there. She sipped her tea. Before Papa died, when I thought I could change the world by teaching children to paint. Why art? Because art is proof we existed, that we felt something, that we mattered. She smiled sadly. My students were poor. Most of them wouldn't finish secondary school, but for 1 hour a day, they created something beautiful, something that was theirs. Jae-won felt something twist in his chest. You're a good person. I was. She set down her cup. Now I'm just someone who exists in a crime lord's house? What does that make me? Alive. The word hung between them. Simi stood, moving to the window. Do you ever wish you could be someone else? Start over? Every day. She turned to face him. Then why don't you? Because men like me don't get to start over. We're too deep, too stained. The only way out is death. He stood, moving closer. But you could. You could leave Korea. Go somewhere new. Be who you want to be. Is that what you want? For me to leave? No. The answer came swift, and fierce, and terrifying. I want you to have a choice. What if I choose to stay? The air between them crackled. Jae-won stopped inches from her, close enough to smell her shea butter and something floral, close enough to see the pulse at her throat. You don't know what you're saying. Don't I? She tilted her head up. You've kept me here for 2 weeks. Fed me, talked to me, looked at me like I'm not invisible, like I matter. Her voice dropped. What are we doing, Jae-won? Something dangerous. Good. Her hand came up to his chest. I'm tired of being safe. He kissed her, or she kissed him. Later, neither could say who moved first. His hands cupped her face, gentle despite their capacity for violence. Her fingers fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer. The kiss tasted like tea and rain, and something desperate like 2 drowning people finding air. When they pulled apart, both breathing hard, Jae-won pressed his forehead to hers. This is a mistake, he whispered. I know. I'm not a good man. I know that too. I can't promise you anything. Not safety, not a future. Not, she kissed him again. Softer this time. When she pulled back, her eyes were wet.
Stop thinking.
Stop talking.
Stop being the monster.
Just for tonight.
Just be here with me.
Stop thinking. Stop being the monster. Just be here with me. So he was. 3 days later, Ye-jin came to Busan. She arrived like a knife, wrapped in silk, beautiful, polished, and lethal. At 28, she ran the Incheon operations and believed she'd earned the right to stand beside Jae-won. Perhaps more than that. There's a rumor, she said, standing in his office like she owned it. Her burgundy dress cost more than most people earned in a year. About an African woman. Living in your house. Jae-won didn't look up from his paperwork. My house. My business. She's a liability. You shot her. She witnessed an execution. And instead of handling it, you're keeping her. Like a pet. Ye-jin's voice sharpened. People are talking. Let them. She makes you weak. Now he looked up. Say that again. Ye-jin smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. You used to be untouchable. Now you have a vulnerability. And vulnerabilities get exploited. Is that a threat? It's reality. She leaned against his desk. The Yukimura family knows about her. They'll use her against you. Then I'll handle them. Or you could handle her. 1 bullet. Clean. Final. Back to business. Jae-won stood slowly. When he spoke, his voice could have frozen blood. If anyone touches her, I will personally dismantle their entire operation. Their family. Their legacy. Everything they've built. Do I make myself clear? Yejin straightened. Something like hurt flashed across her face. You really care about her. She's under my protection. She's more than that. I can see it. Yejin moved to the door, then paused. You're going to lose everything. Because of her. And when you do, don't say I didn't warn you. She left. Jaewon stood there, fists clenched, and realized she was right. He was already lost. It happened on a Tuesday. Simi was in the garden, sketching the maple tree. Kwon stood nearby, watching. Protection. Always protection now. The first bullet shattered the fountain. The second hit Kwon in the chest. Simi screamed. 4 men in black poured through the garden gate. Yukimura soldiers. Their target was clear. Simi ran. She made it to the house, bursting through the door, heart hammering. An alarm blared. Footsteps thundered. And then Jaewon was there, gun drawn, eyes wild in a way she'd never seen. Where's Kwon? Down. They shot him. Jaewon moved past her, fluid and lethal. The sound of gunfire erupted. 3 shots, silence, then 4 more shots. Then nothing. Simi pressed herself against the wall, shaking. When Jaewon came back, his white shirt was spattered with blood. Not his. His eyes found hers immediately. Are you hurt? She shook her head. He crossed to her in 2 strides, pulling her against his chest. His heart pounded against her ear. They came for you. Because of me. Because you're my weakness. Kwon. He'll live. Vest took most of it. Jaewon pulled back, cupping her face. This is my fault. No. Yes. His thumb traced her cheekbone. Yejin was right. You make me vulnerable. And in this world, vulnerability kills. Then let me go. I can't. Why? Because I love you. The words fell between them like stones into still water. Simi stared at him. Blood on his shirt, death in his eyes, and love, terrible, fierce, impossible love, in his voice. You can't, she whispered. Too late. He kissed her forehead. I'll end this. The Yukimura family, Yejin, anyone who threatens you, I'll burn it all down. That's not, it's all I know how to do. He stepped back. Stay in the house. Don't leave. I'll handle this. He left before she could argue. Simi stood in the hallway, listening to her heartbeat, and realized something terrifying. She loved him, too. For 3 days, Busan bled. Jaewon moved through the city like an avenging angel. The Yukimura operations fell one by one. Warehouses, drug routes, protection rackets. He dismantled everything with surgical precision and absolute brutality. Simi stayed in the house. She sketched. She paced. She waited. On the 3rd night, he came home covered in blood that wasn't his. She met him at the door. This has to stop. It stops when they're gone. And then what? Someone else comes? Another threat? Another attack? She grabbed his arm. When does it end? When you're safe. I'm never going to be safe. Her voice cracked. Not as long as I'm with you. That's the truth, isn't it? He didn't answer. Which was answer enough. Simi's eyes filled with tears. Then we need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. Yes, there is. Because I love you too. The confession burst out of her, raw and painful. I love you, and it's wrong, and it's twisted, and I don't care. But I can't watch you destroy yourself for me. Jaewon stared at her. You love me. Don't act surprised. You've seen it. We've been dancing around it for weeks. I shot you. And then you saved me. You gave me a reason to live when I'd given up. You see me. Not just another immigrant. Not just another victim. You see me. She stepped closer. But this war, it's not the answer. What is? She didn't know. That's when his phone rang. The warehouse was neutral ground, empty, echoing. Jaewon stood on one side. Yukimura Daiichi, the patriarch, stood on the other. Yejin was there too, her expression unreadable. You've cost me millions, Daiichi said. His voice was calm, too calm, killed 15 of my men, destroyed 3 years of infrastructure. You attacked what's mine, the woman. Daichi smiled. Yes, we heard the great Han Jae-won finally found a weakness. I had to test it. Your test failed. Did it? You're here, negotiating. When normally you'd just kill me and take what you want. Daichi tilted his head. She's changed you. Jae-won said nothing. So here's my offer, Daichi continued. Give her up, walk away, and we'll call this debt settled. You keep your territory, I keep mine. Everyone wins. No, or, Daichi smiled wider, you give me what I want. The port rights, the shipping contracts, everything your family built for 3 generations. And I leave her alone, forever. Silence. Yejin leaned forward. You can't be seriously considering this. Jae-won ignored her. How do I know you'll keep your word? You don't. But it's the only offer you're getting. Daichi shrugged. The woman or the empire? Choose. Simi paced the god. House like a caged animal. Something was wrong. She could feel it. When the door opened, she spun around. Jae-won stood there. No blood this time. Just exhaustion. What did you do? She asked. What I had to. Jae-won. I gave him the ports, the contracts, everything. He said it simply, factually, like he was reciting someone else's story. In exchange, he leaves you alone. Leaves us alone. Simi's hand flew to her mouth. No. No, you didn't. I did. That's your entire operation. Your father's legacy. Everything you... She couldn't finish. Tears streamed down her face. You can't do that for me. I already did. Why? He crossed to her, taking her face in his hands. Because empires can be rebuilt. Territory can be won back. Money can be earned. His thumb wiped away her tears. But you? There's only one you. And if I have to choose between power and you, it's not even a choice. That's insane. Probably. He smiled a real smile, soft and devastated. But I'm choosing you, Simi. I'm choosing this. Us. Whatever this is. She kissed him. Hard, desperate, tasting salt and relief and terror. What do we do now? She whispered against his lips. We leave. Tonight. Start somewhere new. Where? Anywhere you want. And your men? Your life here? I'll transfer operations. Let someone else run it. Maybe Kwan, if he'll take it. Jae-won rested his forehead against hers. I've been a monster for so long. Let me try being human for a while. With me? If you'll have me, Simi laughed. A real laugh this time, bright and surprised. You know this is crazy, right? This whole thing. We're crazy. I know. Stockholm Syndrome. Trauma bonding. All the red flags. I know. But I still choose you. I know that too. They stood there, holding each other, as the city lights flickered beyond the windows. 6 months later. Lagos in the rainy season was exactly as Simi remembered, loud, chaotic, alive. She stood in the small art studio she'd rented in Ikeja, watching students file in, 20 children, ages 8 to 16. Most couldn't afford proper supplies. She didn't care. Teaching again, creating again, living again. The bell above the door chimed. She looked up. Jae-won entered, carrying 2 bottles of Coke and a bag of Puff Puff from the vendor down the street. 6 months in Nigeria, and he still looked out of place, too pale, too formal, but he was trying. Learning the language, learning the customs. Class doesn't start for 10 minutes, he said in slowly improving English. Thought you might need fuel. My hero. She kissed him quickly, then pulled back. How was the meeting? Good. The security consultation business is growing. Turns out, people pay well for someone who knows how to protect things. He glanced at the students gathering. Though, I have to say, this is more rewarding. Teaching art? Watching you teach art. He touched her face gently. You're different here. Lighter. I'm home. Good. He smiled. Because I have something to show you. Now, After class. Meet me at the Ilupeyu train station. Something in his expression made her nervous. Why there? You'll see. The train station was smaller than the subway platform where her life nearly ended, but the symbolism wasn't lost on her. Jae-won stood on the platform at exactly 3:47 p.m. Not a.m. this time, daylight, warm and bright. Simi approached slowly. What is this? This is me, asking you properly. He took her hand. No guns. No blood. No captivity. Just us. Asking me what? He knelt. Simi's breath caught. 6 months ago, I shot you by mistake, he said. Worst thing I ever did. Best thing that ever happened to me. You taught me what it means to choose life over death. Hope over despair. Love over fear. He pulled out a small box. So I'm asking, Simi Oluwaseun, will you choose me? Not because you're trapped, not because you're scared, but because you want to. The ring was simple. Gold with a small ruby, the color of blood, of life, of everything they'd survived. That's the worst proposal speech I've ever heard, she said, crying. I know, you're a criminal who gave up everything. I know, we're completely insane. I know, yes. She laughed through tears. Yes, I'll marry you. He stood, sliding the ring on her finger, and kissed her as a train rumbled past. Passengers stared. She didn't care. They were alive. They were free. They'd chosen each other. 3 months later, Simi woke up nauseous. It took 2 pregnancy tests to convince her it was real. She found Jae-won in the kitchen, attempting to make fried plantain and failing spectacularly. I'm pregnant, she blurted. He dropped the spatula. Say something, she said. How? Well, when 2 people love each other very much, Simi. I'm scared. The confession came out small. We barely have our lives together. You're still getting legitimate work. I'm just starting to really heal. And now, he crossed to her, pulling her close. We'll figure it out. Like we figure out everything. You're not scared? Terrified. He kissed her forehead. But also, happy. Incredibly, impossibly happy. Yeah? Yeah. He placed his hand over her still flat stomach. We're going to be terrible at this. Absolutely terrible. Our kid is going to need so much therapy. So much. They laughed, then cried, then laughed again. 1 year later. The apartment in Ikea wasn't large, but it was theirs. Simi's paintings covered the walls, Lego streetscapes, Korean gardens, abstract pieces that showed the collision of 2 worlds becoming one. Jae-won sat on the floor, holding their daughter. 3 months old. She had Simi's brown eyes and his serious expression. They'd named her Folami, respect and honor me, because she was the product of 2 people who'd earned both the hard way. She's looking at me like I'm incompetent, he said. Simi laughed from the kitchen where she was making jollof rice. That's because you are incompetent. You're holding her like a football. She's solid. She can take it. Jae-won. He adjusted his grip more carefully this time. Folami gurgled, then settled against his chest. Outside, Lagos hummed with life. Street vendors called out their wares. Music drifted from a nearby party. Children played football in the compound. It was chaos. It was home. Simi's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then smiled. What? Jae-won asked. Kwon sent photos. He and his wife just had their baby. Good for him. Jae-won had signed everything over to Kwon 9 months ago. The ports, the territory, all of it. His former lieutenant ran things with more honor than Jae-won ever managed. Tell him congratulations. I will. She came and sat beside him, resting her head on his shoulder. Do you miss it? Any of it? He considered the question. The power, the fear, the control, the empire he'd built and walked away from. No, he said simply. I miss nothing. Liar. Maybe I missed the expensive suits a little. She laughed, the sound warm and easy. We could buy you one. For special occasions. Like what? Like our wedding. Which we still need to plan, by the way. We're engaged. That's enough. It's not enough. I want my mama there. I want your people there. I want it official. He turned to look at her. Your mother. Have you called her? Simi's expression grew complicated. Not yet. I don't know what to say. Hello, Mama. I'm marrying a former Korean crime lord, and we have a baby? That's one approach. She remarried, started over. I don't even know if she wants to hear from me. Then we find out. He shifted. Falami to one arm, using his free hand to take Simi's. Family is complicated, but you deserve to try. Tears pricked her eyes. When did you become wise? I'm not wise. I'm just learning. He kissed her temple. You taught me that. It took Simi 3 days to work up the courage. She sat in the studio after class, phone in her trembling hand, her mother's number pulled up on the screen. Jae-won sat across from her, present but silent, supportive but not pushing. She pressed call. It rang 4 times. Hello? The voice was older but unmistakable. Mama. Simi's voice cracked. It's Simi. Silence. Long enough that Simi thought she'd hung up. Then, Oluwakemi? Her full name, the one only her mother used. Yes, Mama. Where are you? Are you safe? I've been, her mother's voice broke. I've been trying to find you. I hired people. I called everyone. You disappeared, and I thought, what? I thought something terrible happened. That you were dead, or trafficked, or her mother was crying now, full, heaving sobs. My baby, where are you? Simi's mind reeled. You looked for me? Of course I looked for you. When you stopped calling, when your phone went dead, I came to Seoul. I searched for 3 months, filed police reports, hired investigators. But you were gone, I thought. Simi couldn't speak. I thought you didn't want me after you remarried. I thought, how could you think that? Her mother's voice turned fierce through the tears. You're my daughter, my first child. Nothing changes that. Not a new marriage, not distance, nothing. But Ibrahim, he said, Ibrahim was wrong, and he's gone now. I divorced him 6 months ago. A bitter laugh. Turns out he was the problem. Not you. Never you. Simi wept. Great, shuddering sobs that shook her whole body. Jae-won moved closer, his hand on her back, grounding her. Mama, I'm in Lagos, she managed. I'm home. I'm teaching. Again. And I have someone I want you to meet. You're in Lagos? Since when? 9 months. I have so much to tell you. Then tell me. Tell me everything. So she did. She told her about the warehouse, the shooting, the captivity that became protection, the man who'd shot her and then loved her, the empire he gave up, the baby girl sleeping in the next room. Her mother listened, sometimes gasping, sometimes making sounds of distress, but never interrupting. When Simi finished, there was a long pause. This man, her mother said carefully, he treats you well? Better than I deserve. You deserve everything. Her mother's voice softened. And he gave up everything for you? Everything. Another pause. Then, I want to meet him. And my granddaughter. Really? Really? She could hear the smile in her mother's voice. But Oluwakemi? If he ever hurts you, I don't care how dangerous he used to be. I will end him myself. Simi laughed. Through tears. Yes, Mama. Good. Now give me your address. I'm coming to Lagos this weekend. Saturday morning arrived too quickly. Simi cleaned the apartment 3 times. Jae-won wore one of his few remaining expensive shirts. Falami, blissfully unaware, slept peacefully. When the knock came, Simi's heart nearly stopped. She opened the door. Her mother stood there, older than Simi remembered, but still beautiful. Gray streaked her hair, lines marked her face. But her eyes, those same warm brown eyes, filled with tears the moment she saw Simi. Mama. They collided in the doorway, holding each other, crying, whispering apologies and forgiveness and love. When they finally pulled apart, Simi's mother looked past her to where Jae-won stood, holding Falami. So, she said in English, her accent thick. You are the man who shot my daughter! Yes, ma'am. Jaewon's voice was steady, but Simi could see the tension in his shoulders. And then fell in love with her. Yes, ma'am. And gave up everything to protect her. I would do it again. Simi's mother studied him, long and hard. Then she stepped forward, took Falami from his arms, and examined her granddaughter with the expertise of someone who'd raised children. She's beautiful, she said softly, then looked up at Jaewon. And you? Are you a good father? I'm trying to be. That's all anyone can do, she turned to Simi. He'll do. But I'm watching him. Yes, Mama. Her mother's expression softened. Now, someone make me tea and tell me everything I missed. Starting with how you two decided to name my granddaughter without consulting me. And just like that, the weight Simi carried for years lifted. She was home. She had her mother back. She had Jaewon and Falami and a life she'd built from ashes. 3 months after that, they had 2 weddings. The first was small, just them, Simi's mother, Kwon and his family who flew in from Korea, and a handful of friends from the art studio. They married at a courthouse in Lagos, official and simple. The second was at a small church in Ikeja. Simi wore traditional Yoruba aso-oke in deep purple and gold. Jaewon wore a matching agbada that Simi's mother helped him select. The ceremony blended Korean and Nigerian traditions, bowing to elders, breaking of kola nut, sharing of wine. Falami, dressed in miniature aso-oke, slept through the entire thing. Afterward, they ate jollof rice and kimchi, pounded yam and bulgogi, creating the same fusion that defined their entire relationship. As the sun set, Jaewon pulled Simi aside. Thank you, he said. For what? For walking through that door. For surviving. For choosing life. He cupped her face. For choosing me. You chose me first. We chose each other. He kissed her, soft and sweet and full of promise. Every day, we keep choosing each other. Every day, she agreed. In the background, Simi's mother laughed at something Kwon said. Falami woke and started fussing. Music played Afro beats mixing with K-pop. 2 worlds, still colliding, still creating something new. Simi looked at the man who shot her by mistake and became her everything. She thought about the night on that subway platform, the moment she decided to die, the bullet that changed everything. I'm glad you missed, she said. Jaewon smiled. I didn't miss. I hit exactly what I was supposed to hit. Your aim was off. My aim was perfect. He pulled her closer. I found you. And there, under the Lagos sky, in a life neither of them planned but both of them chose, Simi finally understood. Sometimes the worst mistakes lead to the best destinations. Sometimes you have to be broken before you can be whole. Sometimes love is violence and gentleness, darkness and light, endings and beginnings all at once. And sometimes the person who almost destroys you becomes the one who saves you. This was their story. A story of collision and choice, of trauma and triumph, of 2 people who found each other in the darkest moment and decided to build something beautiful from the wreckage. Thank you for listening, besties. If you loved Simi and Jaewon's journey, drop a like and subscribe for more Afro-Korean romance stories. Comment below. Would you choose love over an empire? What should our next story be about? Let me know. Until next time, keep choosing love. Keep choosing life. Keep choosing each other. See you in the next one.